What is capitalism? Broadly construed, capitalism is an economic system based on the private ownership of the means of production and their operation for profit. In fact, as Adam Smith, the father of capitalism, also known as the father of economics, said that the essential feature of capitalism is the motive to make profit. As Smith writes, "It is not from the benevolence of the butcher, the brewer, or the baker that we expect our dinner, but from their regard to their own interest." In addition to the motive to make profit, other defining features of capitalism include capital accumulation, competitive markets, price system, private property and the recognition of private rights, voluntary exchange, and wage labor. Put differently, therefore, capitalism is an economic system in which private actors own and control property in accord with their interest, and demand and supply freely set prices in a way that can serve the best interest of society. This explains why in a capitalist market economy, decision-making and investments are determined by the owners of wealth, property, or production ability in capital and financial markets. In relation to this, the prices and distribution of goods and services in a capitalist system are mainly determined by competition in goods and services markets. Thus, in a capitalist economy, capital assets such as factories, mines, and railroads can be privately owned and controlled, while labor is also purchased for money wages. Capital gains accrue to private owners, and prices allocate capital and labor between competing uses. Economists, historians, political economists, and sociologists have adopted different perspectives in their analyses of capitalism and have recognized various forms of it in practice. For example, capitalism can be divided into two types, based on how production is organized, namely, 1. Liberal market economies, and 2. Coordinated market economies. On the one hand, in liberal market economies, the competitive market is prevalent and the bulk of the production process takes place in a decentralized manner, such as the one seen in the free market capitalism in the United States and the United Kingdom. On the other hand, coordinated market economies exchange private information through non-market institutions such as unions and business associations, as in Germany and Japan. Recently, economists have identified 4 types of capitalism distinguished according to the role of entrepreneurship in driving innovation and the institutional setting in which new ideas are put into place to spur economic growth. These include 1. State-guided capitalism, 2. Oligarchic capitalism, 3. Big firm capitalism, and 4. Entrepreneurial capitalism. In state-guided capitalism, the government decides which sectors will grow. Initially motivated by a desire to foster growth, this type of capitalism has several pitfalls: excessive investment, picking the wrong winners, susceptibility to corruption, and difficulty withdrawing support when it is no longer appropriate. Oligarchic capitalism is oriented toward protecting and enriching a very narrow fraction of the population. Here, economic growth is not a central objective, and countries with this variety have a great deal of inequality and corruption. Big firm capitalism takes advantage of economies of scale. This type of capitalism is important for mass production of products. Entrepreneurial capitalism produces breakthroughs like the automobile, telephone, and computer. These innovations are usually the product of individuals and new firms. However, it takes big firms to mass produce and market new products, so a mix of big firm and entrepreneurial capitalism seems best. This is the kind that characterizes the United States more than any other country. Given the above discussion, we can now conclude that capitalism is founded on the following pillars. First is private property. This allows people to own tangible assets such as land and houses, and intangible assets such as stocks and bonds. Second is self-interest. It is through self-interest that people act in pursuit of their own good, without regard for socio-political pressure. Third is competition. Through the firm's freedom to enter and exit markets, competition maximizes social welfare, that is, the joint welfare of both producers and consumers. Fourth is a market mechanism that determines prices in a decentralized manner through interactions between buyers and sellers. It is important to note that prices, in return, allocate resources, which naturally seek the highest reward, not only for goods and services, but for wages as well. Fifth is the freedom to choose with respect to consumption, production, and investment. Here, dissatisfied customers can buy different products, investors can pursue more lucrative ventures, and workers can leave their jobs for better pay. Sixth and last is the limited role of government to protect the rights of private citizens and maintain an orderly environment that facilitates proper functioning of markets. It is important to note that the extent to which these pillars operate distinguishes various forms of capitalism. In free markets, also called laissez-faire economies, markets operate with little or no regulation. In mixed economies, so called because of the blend of markets and government, markets play a dominant role, but are regulated to a greater extent by government to correct market failures, such as pollution and traffic congestion, promote social welfare, and for other reasons, such as defense and public safety. It is also important to note that mixed capitalist economies predominate today. As we may already know, capitalism has been constantly under attack by scholars and practitioners alike. In fact, the famous socialist thinker Karl Marx devoted much of his lifetime to critiquing capitalism. Some of the popular critiques of capitalism inspired by Marx are the following. First is that capitalism concentrates power in the hands of a minority capitalist class that exists through the exploitation of the majority working class and their labor. Second is that capitalism prioritizes profit over social good, natural resources, and the environment. Third, capitalism is viewed as an engine of inequality, corruption, and economic instabilities. And fourth, capitalism is considered as anti-democratic because many are not able to access its purported benefits and freedoms, such as freely investing. It must be noted that against the above-mentioned critiques, supporters of capitalism argue that it provides better products and innovation through competition, promotes pluralism and decentralization of power, disperses wealth to people who are able to invest in useful enterprises based on market demands, allows for a flexible incentive system where efficiency and sustainability are priorities to protect capital, creates strong economic growth, and yields productivity and prosperity that greatly benefit society. Capitalism is normally contrasted with socialism, a type of economic system which advocates the idea that the means of production, distribution, and exchange of goods and services should be owned or regulated by the community as a whole. In some socialist economies, the democratically elected government owns and controls major businesses and industries. In other socialist economies, production is controlled by worker cooperatives. In a few others, individual ownership of enterprise and property is allowed, but with high taxes and government control. The mantra of socialism is, from each according to his ability, to each according to his contribution. This means that each person in society gets a share of the economy's collective production, that is, goods and wealth, based on how much they have contributed to generating it. Workers are paid their share of production after a percentage has been deducted to help pay for social programs that serve the common good. In contrast to capitalism, therefore, the main concern of socialism is the elimination of rich and poor socioeconomic classes by ensuring an equal distribution of wealth among the people. To accomplish this, the socialist government controls the labor market, sometimes to the extent of being the primary employer. This allows the government to ensure full employment even during economic downturns.